pete'stools.com.
Well, today guys, Pete's putting his money where his mouth is. He went down to his local hardware shop, bought one of these cheap compressors, a little 2 horsepower thing, the cheapest one that I could find. So what I'm going to do is we're going to pull it to bits and we're actually going to see if we can plasma cut with it. 40 amp plasma cutter, or maybe you got a 50 amp plasma cutter, should work just the same. I've got my doubts whether it's going to work at all, but anyway, let's pull this thing out of this box and see what we've got. Same as usual guys, you like my videos, subscribe, come say g'day Pete at pete'stools.com. Always remember to drop your comments down below, and hopefully it'll help you guys out when you're trying to buy a compressor for your plasma cutter. You might not have to go as big as what we think. Anyway, let's have a look and we'll find out. So guys, as with all my videos, this is just a generic Chinese machine. I mean, it's got a tool-line brand name on it, but that doesn't mean 2/5 of bugger all. I reckon they're all made in the same factory in China and you just rebrand it to whatever you want. So a 2 horsepower compressor like this here is going to be the same in the US or in the UK. It's not going to make 2/5 of bugger all difference, I don't think. Anyway, let's pull it to bits and see what we've got, guys. And yeah, before you're asking, I did use my own money to buy this. It was 207 New Zealand dollars. I think you can get them for about 155 US, I think. Something like that. So we'll see what we've got. It weighs about 25 kgs, I think, guys. So we'll just pull them out and see what we've got. So I'll put it on the ground, guys, so hopefully I can just pull it out like that, but that is quite heavy. Ooh, I shit to myself. So we've got some instructions here. Who reads the instructions? I don't. We've got some wheels. Looks like I'm going to have to put it together. A little air filter thing here. So here we go, guys. I've got it out of the box, and this is what we end up with. It actually quite surprised me because it's quite heavy, and it'll definitely keep your feet on the ground, I can tell you that for nothing. So I've got all your operating instructions here. Normally with these things you'll get a little oil canister, but I think this has already got the oil in it. We better check it before we start it anyway. I have to put the wheels on it too. So like you see it there, guys, it's actually already got the oil in it, and it's got a little seal here sealing it in there, so we don't have to worry about that anyway until we need the first oil change. And I'd actually advise you, if you buy one of these little things, to do the oil changes, because there's nothing worse. You'll bugger your machine in no time flat in about half the time if you don't do the oil changes. I was a bugger for that, eh? I never used to do oil changes on anything, and it just doesn't work out in the end, you know. It just ends up costing you money for no reason at all, so it's just as good just to do the oil change. So guys, this is just me assembling it. I had to put the back wheels on, and then I've got to put the front grommet on. To stop it from vibrating all over the workshop as they do. I made sure it had oil in it and put the air filter on. If you want to see me assembling this, I'll have another video in a couple of weeks. Just check that one out and you can see me doing a full assembly on it. Anyway guys, we'll have to get into plasma cutting, see if it'll actually cut something. Now I don't reckon it's going to have enough power to cut anything. What do you guys reckon? So guys, I finally assembled the thing. I sped it up a little bit, didn't want to bore you too much, so I put the wheels on, I put the air filter on, I made sure there was oil in the tank before you start it up and blow it up for the first time. Been there and done that, Pete. What I'm going to do, guys, is see if I can plasma cut with this air compressor on my 40 amp plasma cutter. What do you reckon, guys? Is it going to go here or is it going to go here? So guys, we've got 2 horsepower. It's a direct drive motor. It's 24 litres. I don't know what that is in imperial, but anyway, you fellas will work it out. The pump displacement is 200 litres a minute, as we said, and free air delivery is 122 litres a minute. So, I'll start it up for the first time, we'll kick it in the guts, we'll see where this ends up, see where our gauges end up, and then I'll plug it into the plasma cutter and we'll do some cutting. Alright guys, as you can see, about 110 psi that shut off at. Took a while to charge it up, but we'll see how we go. You may get away with this with a little bit bigger tank, maybe, possibly. Anyway, I'll go and grab the plasma cutter and we'll go and cut something, guys. So once again, guys, this is my trusty Cut 40 plasma cutter. So what I'll do is I'll set it to 40 amp, and I think I'm going to back the air pressure on that little air compressor just down a little bit. I might do it to 40 psi and see if we can cut with 40 psi. If you've seen my video the other day, that was quite amazing actually. I backed the air pressure down and it actually cut better on lower amperage. So if you go watch that video, guys, you'll understand why I'm doing it. I might actually drop the amperage down on the second cut, but we'll try at 40 amp to start off with, and I'm going to run it at 40 psi, and we'll see if that little compressor can actually handle cutting something. So guys, I'm cutting the usual 3mm plate. It's proper steel, so you can actually manufacture something out of this in your shed or your workshop. You can make stuff like trailer mudguards, or we make even trailers out of it. So it's not like it's ship metal, that's what I'm saying. So I'm going to try and cut this with that little compressor, 40 amps on my plasma cutter, and 40 psi on the little compressor. Now I've got my doubts, but anyway, shall see what we shall see. So the advantage of that little compressor would actually work is that while you're plasma cutting and then your compressor cuts in, then you're not going to blow out all your circuit breakers. Whereas my bigger compressor, which is the maximum I can have in my workshop power, as soon as that cuts in while I'm plasma cutting, all my circuit breakers blow. So I just wonder if it'll actually work. Anyway, stop waffling, Pete, and let's see if it goes. Yeehaw! Rightio guys, here goes nothing. Well, it does. Compressor hasn't kicked in yet. Compressor's just kicked in now. So that took a little while to catch up, guys, but if you're doing artwork in your workshop or something like that and you're only cutting little lengths, I think we might be onto a winner. Let's have another go. Pretty cool, look at that guys, and the compressor didn't even kick in that time. It cuts it really, really well. I'm really, really surprised. I mean, you're not going to be able to do humongous sheets with it, but if you're just mucking around doing artwork, or you just want to fix your trailer, or you want to cut some rust out of your car, I can't see any reason why the little compressor wouldn't work. I might try turning down the amps, guys, and then I can turn down the pressure on the compressor, see if we can get any longer cuts out of it, eh? We'll give that a crack, Nigel. So what I've done, guys, is I've turned the plasma cutter down to 30 amp. I've turned the compressor down to 30 psi. See how long we can cut before it cuts in, if it will cut. Definitely cut. See how that's making a difference to the length of the cut, boys? Compressor must be due to cut in any minute. There you go. And this is 3mm, you know, and you're not going to be doing 3mm if you're doing rust repairs and that sort of thing. So now what I've done, guys, is I've turned the amperage back up to 40 amp, but I've left the PSI at 30. So we'll see how we go with that. That's really good, guys. Might even get all the way before it restarts. There you go. Cut that all the way down that length and it hasn't restarted yet. I reckon that's quite impressive. For a little cheap air compressor like that, I would have thought it would be next to useless. But if you're running a little 30 or 40 amp, even a 50 amp plasma cutter, yeah, you can get some use out of that, I reckon, anyway. But that's what Pete thinks anyway. But what does Pete know? Yeehaw! Well guys, that surprised the hell out of me. I wouldn't think a little compressor like that would have any show of cutting anything with a plasma cutter. A cheap compressor, a cheap plasma cutter, and you can be away doing your own thing in your shed. Especially if you're limited to the amount of electricity you have available. Like me in my workshop with my gear, I'm running on the verge of all the time flicking out my circuit breakers. It's a right pain in the bum. But if you used a little compressor, you wouldn't have that problem. Like I say, if you had a 30 odd amp plasma cutter or even a 50 amp plasma cutter with one of these little compressors, as long as you're not trying to do full sheets, you're just doing a little home handyman stuff, you want to do your welding and you want to cut a few bits and pieces, I reckon it'd be pretty good actually. Anyway, like I say, doesn't take much to impress Pete, but anyway, that's just my thoughts guys. I'll whack some links below if you want to have a look at some of these cheap compressors. I think they're about 150 bucks. I mean, they won't be exactly the same model as this, but they're all the same. Like I say, my theory is they're all made in the same bloody factory in China and they just put a different stamped brand name on them. Anyway, same as usual guys, like my videos, subscribe, drop me a like, drop me a comment, come say good day Pete at petestools.com. Remember to check in the description below for some other cool videos to look at, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
And don't forget guys, like and subscribe to Pete's Tools. Yeah! Pete'sTools.com.